All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the October meeting of the Infrastructure Committee of the 14th of October. Due to poor internet connectivity, there is a risk that I'll have connectivity issues during the meeting. Rather than have the meeting disrupted, I'll be vacating the chair for today's meeting. An acting chair will need to be appointed by the committee. I'll hand over to the Democracy Advisor to conduct that process. Thank you.
Morning all. We'll call for nominations for an acting chair for today's meeting, please.
I'll nominate Phil Hulse.
Oh.
Any further nominations? I'll call for a mover for the recommendation that Councillor Hulse be appointed acting chair for today's meeting. I have a mover for that, Councillor Benny, and a seconder, Councillor Cockerillo. All in favour? Raise your hand.
Aye.
Carried.
Aye.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's a beautiful day outside, but it's a bit of a change of direction, I would have thought. So anyway, we are where we are, and thank you. Okay, so agenda item, we'll go straight to 3.1, and it's the infrastructure minutes of the meeting held on 9th of September 2021. Someone like to move those as true and accurate account of the meeting, please? Councillor Peters, Councillor Cockerillo. Any notes for correction? Looks pretty tidy. Do you see anyone? No hands up. Okay, I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Please raise your hands across your body. Yeah.
Aye.
Thank you. Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, moving on to page 7 of the agenda, 4.1, 11 Ed Street, Whangarei, and decline to purchase. Recommendations on the page 7 of our agenda. Just could I ask, Carolyn, was this being recorded?
Yes, the meeting will be recorded and the recording will be available on YouTube.
Okay, so I
live
need to.
Streamed. Yeah.
Okay, so we need to read the recommendation in full. If anyone moves the recommendation, please read it in full so people can hear it at the other end, please. Okay, so someone like to move that recommendation, please? Councillor Connop, Councillor Deeming, seconded.
Yeah, I'll second.
Yeah. Councillor Connop, could you read the recommendation out though, please?
Sure thing. Sorry, wrong one. Just get back up to that page. Recommendation is that council declines the offer from Land Information New Zealand to purchase 11 Edge Street, Whangarei for public work.
Okay. Open for discussion. Do you want to lead off, Councillor Connor? Any comment, please?
Yeah, sure. We've had a bit of a discussion on this one, and it's one of those places that we don't have anything suitable for this location right now. And for that fact, it's not really suitable for us to take on because there could be other opportunities for people to use it. So I think it's pretty standard, this one.
Okay, open for discussion. Any other comments from councillors? Councillor Cockerillo?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question in relation to the lot. If you look at page 9, it actually shows the picture of it, and it shows that there's a walkway between 44 and 54 Ross Street. And I'm just curious to wonder, will that be vested into those owners which are next door, or will that remain as an open walk path?
Okay, if we get a staff member could answer that, please.
Through the chair, yes, Sue Hot Chair. Both lots are for sale. So Lynn's are going to sell that narrow, skinny part as well. Who they're going to sell it to, I don't know.
Oh. Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, a following question on that. With that lot being there, wouldn't it be better our recommendation to make for Lynn's to actually include that to be sold to one of those two neighbours, due to the fact that that's actually creating a safety issue, especially if that lot 11 gets sold to somebody else who's then could use it as an access way. As a safety precaution, it does seem to be, to me, a bit of concern. Would that be wise to make that a change in the recommendation?
Through the chair, if I can comment, if you want to make a recommendation like that to Lynn's, we can.
I can certainly see the point you're making, Councillor Coccarello. I can actually see it quite clearly. So, would any further discussion? We'll come back to the original mover to see whether we can accommodate that in the original motion, if the mover feels that way inclined. Okay, now we get Councillor Deeming, and then Her Worship the Mayor. Councillor Deeming.
Thank you. It seems to me the staff analysis is appropriate. I actually, if the suggestion from Councillor Coccarello is accepted by the mover, then I would be happy to accept it as seconder.
Okay, thank you.
Could I have the wording for the amended resolution, please?
Well, we haven't got that far yet. We're just getting a few comments, and then we'll go back to Councillor Connop to see whether he wants to add that in the original motion. Your Worship the Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we need to have some really good legal advice on what we're proposing. I think that we don't own this land. The Land Information New Zealand actually own it. So I don't know that we've got any right to make any changes to their processes. We perhaps could make some recommendation, but I think we need some really good legal advice before we do anything on the hoof. Thanks.
Yes, thank you. Councillor Benny.
Yeah, in a similar vein, I hear what Councillor Coccarello says, but this is just purely an offer for us to buy the property. We don't own it. We have nothing really to do with it.
Yeah.
We're declining the offer. So although it's a nice thing to have, we can't save the world, and I don't think we should be even thinking about that at this stage. So I'm against the amendment, not for the safety reasons, just because I don't think it's our place to do so.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Any other comments, Councillor Connor? Do you want to write a reply or make a comment or add to your motion?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, there was no amendment there, Mr. Chairman.
No amendment.
I wouldn't want to include it. I mean, similar to those things. I mean, at the same time, it's like it would be a driveway that would be an access way. I mean, if we wanted to make those kind of decisions, I think we'd probably have to buy it. But I mean, I don't think it's necessary for us to be able to do so. So yeah, I don't particularly want to add that.
Okay, thank you. That's clear. Okay, any other comments? Councillor Coccarello.
Yeah, just continue with another question then, Mr. Chairman. With that being in line with the staff or the councillors not want to create a motion to do something like that, would it be best in the interest of council to actually purchase the land and redo it ourselves, during the fact that Lynn's would actually be creating a safety issue for our community?
Well, at the moment, the way I see it is we don't own the property, so why would we purchase it this time? That's my answer. So. But if anyone else wants to comment further, I think we've gone around the table pretty much. Any other comments? Okay, I can't see any hands up. So at the moment, I've got a bar right across the photos of a couple of councillors at the bottom. Councillor Innes, I can't see clearly, and Councillor Reid at times. Okay, so no other comments. I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye, or please raise your hands across your face, please. Okay, it's clear. Everyone's got everyone's got the hand up. So against, obviously, no one. So that's unanimous. So thanks very much. Okay, move on to 4.2, petition for construction of footpaths on Pipiwai Road. So we've received a petition. Okay, Councillor Martin.
Yeah.
Moving. Councillor Seguin, please. Councillor Reid. Okay, Councillor Martin.
The part of Pipiwai Road, the local concrete works supplied the concrete, and we did the work to build the footpath quite a way along there.
Yeah.
It's been a dangerous stretch of road. The people who live on the top end of Dip Road, the bottom end of Dip Road, when Danny Manahira, which probably not many people left here know, was doing the roading, he put a temporary footpath up Dip Road because of the number of children that were going to both Whangarei Primary High School and Dip Road School. Built a metal one up there to make it easier for them to get down there, with the intention of having it concreted within the next 2 to 3 years. That was 16 years ago.
Wow.
And they, my daughter-in-law, who's now 40 something, she got hit by the mirror of a truck when she was going to school,
Wow.
high school, on that stretch of road where they have to walk out onto the road. Everybody in that area has to take their children to school by car because it's too dangerous on both Pipiwai Road and on Dip Road. And I've been campaigning for this ever since I've been on council, and I think it's absolutely critical. It's really good that this group here that from the school have got on once again. We've had these, over the years, I've had hundreds of people ringing, and families in that area that I know now are still having to take their kids less than 1 kilometre to school in the car because it's not safe to walk. And even the guys who run around there, like provincial rugby players, run around there, they say you've got to be damn careful because you never know when someone's going to come speeding up behind you. And it's not the speed, it's just the fact that they all of a sudden are right behind you and you have to be on the road. So I hope that this would have been in the plan to have been done years ago. So I urge everybody to support this. And I know it's only going into the list, but it needs to be prioritised. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. Your worship, Mayor, and then Councillor Coccarello.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. As you can see, these fabulous citizens from Hurupaki School wrote to me in June of this year. And in my response, I told them that this is the process that we bring forward petitions to council meetings. So it's a great day for them to see their processes, I guess, being followed through. And I also let them know that the criteria for assessing these applications are used using our prioritisation criteria, which includes assessing safety hazards, number of potential users, percentage of children and senior citizens in the area, any historical crashes, and other road characteristics. So I'm really pleased to be able to, I was pleased then to be able to tell them the sorts of things that we take into account when we're analysing these requests. I would imagine in this scenario, just hearing what Councillor Martin was saying, that if we've got the history in the area and a desire from the locals, that hopefully they do make it high onto the prioritisation list and gets implemented before too long. So fingers crossed that it works for them. Thank you.
Okay, so I've got Councillor Coccarello, Benny, Murphy, and Cooper, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just want to ask a question there. Her Worship's actually highlighted quite clearly the process, but I'm just wondering if the staff can tell us exactly where in the list this project might actually become.
Comment from staff, please.
Yes, Jeff here. Unfortunately, I can't at the moment, so we will find that out and come back to the council, to the committee.
Thank you for that, Jeff. My next question is, this seems to be like a project which could be done by a local community group. Is this something that the staff would be interested in?
So our new footpath program is now subsidised by NZTA, and with that comes some restrictions. So we have to get approval for each new footpath project. NZTA are currently accepting our footpath prioritisation matrix as the justification for those projects. So if it hits the list, then we can do it. If the community want to help, then we can spread the available money a bit further. That's possible. But unfortunately, council hasn't budgeted any unsubsidised money, so there's no additional money to build new footpaths at the moment in the current budgets.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, Councillor Benny.
Yes, support it fully. I just and I hope that it can be linked up with any possible footpath or probable footpath on 3 Mile Bush linking Karanui and those other subdivisions that we are that are currently being built up there. That's going to be quite vital for that stretch of road. That's a real narrow bit of road as well that can link up. And I hope we can go further and look at looking at partnering with the government to look at linking that with a bike trail footpath to Hikurangi as well. So yeah, I support this fully.
Okay, Councillor Murphy. Good to see you outside in the sun there.
It's really bright today. Yeah, I support this too. And like Councillor Martin says, you know, like if we're going to have a shift, if we want kids to be riding and walking to school again, we need to have a safe network of footpaths. So this is really important, and it would be quite good actually to have maybe an update from staff over the next month or two, just on how many meters of new footpath we have been doing, where our new footpaths are, because I'm not even too sure. I know we have done a new one out past Whangarei Falls. We extended that one a little bit, but it would be quite good to know where we have been building footpaths. I'm not even up to date, but definitely support this. And I guess for the next council, if it's something we're serious about, then we have to make sure it is a priority and we do put enough funding in to make sure we're building, as many footpaths as we need. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Cooper.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I just quickly say that the recommendation is to receive the petition and instruct staff to investigate, request support back to the committee. A, and B, advise petition organiser of this course of action, and I fully support that. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, any other comments? I can't see any. Councillor Peters?
No, why did that go up?
If the community put some time in, can that be considered co-payment if you don't have another subsidy?
That would have to be directed to staff. So, Jeff, could you make a comment, please?
Yeah, so again, as I said before, if the community wants to help construct footpaths, then that's fine, and we do that with the Waipu Cycleway down there, where council and the community trust work together. The problem here is, at the moment, council has no budgeted, and I'm not sure where the project currently sits on our list. I will check that for you, but if it's not on this current year's program, then we have no money from council within the roading budgets to actually put towards it. So that does make it a bit difficult. But we can look at going forward a development of a community-based project if that's wanted. The problem we have on those two particular roads is the road's quite narrow, and there's a fair bit of earthworks required to do, so we'll need some machinery and stuff in there to help that. Previously, Tony Davis-Colley has made a suggestion about helping, and we will follow up that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Councillor Golightly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yep, I just wanted to say that I 100% support this as well. It is a long time coming. And I'm just wondering whether these gorgeous letters, one from Nathan and Kale, are going to be responded to. I'm concerned that Kale wants to make sure that his parents won't be late for work. So if that could be done, please.
Yes, well, I don't quite know who you're directing that to, Councillor Golightly, but I'm sure it could be done. Your worship, the Mayor.
I did respond at the time. That's what I was reading from the letter that I sent to them to thank them for their petition. So they have been responded to, and any updates I'm sure will be communicated to them. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Okay.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chairman, it's Jeff here again. We also responded back to the letter writers with what we're doing here today.
Oh, thanks very much. That's a really good process. So, okay.
Just a question for Jeff. Jeff, could you explain how the footpath that was done along there how Virgin Concrete supplied the concrete, and we did the work, and they've offered to continue further, but we didn't have the funds to allow that to continue.
Yeah, so Virgin Concrete supplied the concrete for footpaths, I think, right along the start of Pipawai Road, and I think we've done at least 2 sections, one in front of the netball courts, and I actually believe we're doing another section, if we haven't already done it, right up to or close to the railway arch. We had a bit of a delay in the middle because we had to extend the culvert under the road, the big large culvert, before we could build the footpath. So they have donated, to my recollection, up to 3 lots of concrete for the footpath, and we've constructed those three sections. I'm just not sure whether we've done the last one yet or not, but I know due to the whole COVID thing as to whether we actually got it done. But we are doing that, and we are accepting all the kind donations that they've been giving us.
Good, thank you. Just Councillor Cockerill, and I'll come back to Councillor Martin for a right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to actually ask one more question, which was in relation to who would the community groups want to get in touch with if they want to be involved in helping out with a project like this?
They can make contact with me, and we'll sort it out. It's Jeff.
Yeah, so Jeff Devine we'll put if we get any questions or any comments from the public, we'll put them through to Jeff Devine. That'd be excellent.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Yeah, it's nice to hear there's so much support. It's just a pity that it hadn't gone through before, but I urge you to go and walk that road. You need to walk around there, and because nobody would send their kids there. Nobody. And, you know, a generation or more ago, I was on the board at Hurapaki School, and that was a major issue with the committee in those days, you know, like 30 years ago. So it's not a new thing, and it's just, I just can't believe that it hasn't been done, to be perfectly honest.
Yep.
And the boards that Danny Manahira put there, God bless them, are all rotten now, and it's difficult to walk on the loose metal. So I hope everybody supports this and we get on with it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, a reply has been had. Okay, all in favour of the motion, please raise your hand, please. Yeah, good result. Yes, full support, Councillor Martin. So we'll move on to the next page, page 17 of our agenda, 4.3, petition for yellow lines on Hanford Street, Untitled, and its recommendation on the page. Someone like to read the recommendation, move and read the recommendation, please?
Yes, please.
Nicholas Connor, Councillor Connor. Could you read the recommendation, please?
Recommendation is that the committee receives the petition to present a petition requesting installation of no stopping lines on one side of the road of Hanforth Street, Whangarei, to investigate the request and report this back to the committee and advise the petition organizer of this course of action.
Thank you. We've got a second. Councillor Cockerill. Okay, Councillor Connor, do you want to speak further?
Yes, please. Yes, I've been speaking with the woman who started this petition. This actually all stems back from many years ago when the road was actually realigned into the direct center of it as opposed to one of the sides. This previously only allowed parking on one side because there was such a small lane on the other side. And then recently the paid parking in the airport has also caused more parking issues due to the fact that there are people parking outside of the airport as opposed to parking inside of the airport. This isn't everybody. There are still a lot of people parking in the airport. However, staff in particular, and for the cafe, let's say, are one of the people that are impacted and have to park outside. This causes a very narrow space in the middle where only one car can actually pass through. Which actually causes buildup on both ends of this area because there's 2 parking lanes and everybody has to go through this gap. Buses also come out of the airport, which is where the turnaround area is, and it blocks up a lot of the space. So with parking on both sides, it's quite a bit of a hazard. I've stood there watching with the lady who's quite concerned, who also has a driveway, who's not been able to see out of the driveway as she exits, and it's yeah, and she's got a good number of people from around the area that support this.
Okay, thank you. Other comments, please? Okay.
Yeah, through Mr. Chair, I'll just follow on from Nick there. Look, it's Councillor Collins. Basically, the community has actually raised this particular incident, or the Whangarei community has raised the particular incident for quite a while. But one of the biggest concerns is the actual width of the road. And while I'm fully supportive of going the next step with this, I actually believe we need to be looking at also the road widths around Whangarei, especially that section of the road. It should actually be a lot wider. So my next follow-on question would be, are the staff, or will the staff also be looking at the road width and also improving the road width along there, as well as possibly looking at painted lines?
Okay. Mr. Devine, could you answer that, please?
Yes, so councillors may be aware we have a process for the installation of no stopping signs that council has approved. We do investigations, we consult with the neighbours and the residents of the street, and generally bring back to council the results of that consultation and the recommendations to either install or not install no stopping lines. We can look at an additional option of widening the road. Again, the problem we would face is that sort of activity is currently not subsidised by NZTA, and council has no current budget for road widening activities, but we can bring those options back to council when we consider the matter.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? I can't see any hands. Councillor Murphy, you got your hand up? We see a little hand come up and then disappeared. Do you want to speak?
No, I was just wondering what Jeff's comments were just about pros and cons, but it's okay. I think he's answered my question, so no worries.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any further discussion before I put the motion? You've write a reply, Councillor Connor.
Thank you very much. No, it's not too much. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing the details from the examination.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll put the motion. All in favour, please raise your hands. Okay, once again, everyone's in favour of that, so really good. So thank you. No need to put a contrary one. So we'll move on to page 21 of our agenda. Contracts approved under delegated authority, and the recommendations is that the Infrastructure Committee note the infrastructure contracts awarded under Chief Executive and General Manager delegated authority. And these ones cover: one is the roading, it's Carmo Shared Path, Kingston and Avenue Link. 2, Parks and Recreation is the Beach Road Seawall Renewal. Another one of cleaning of public toilets. Under Water Services, Russ Avenue Water Main Replacement. So someone like to move the recommendation, please? Councillor Coccarello, Councillor Reid. Okay, Councillor Coccarello, comments, please.
There's nothing much more to add to that, Mr. Chairman. You've highlighted the recommendation. You've gone through all the projects. There's not much more I can add. These have been delegated to the staff to do. They are projects which have been on the list for quite a while, some of these. So the only thing I was interested to hear a staff comment back onto is in relation to the water services with the water main, being that the engineer's estimate was 40,000 below the actual price. Is that within recommendations or within standards?
It is a public tender, so we'll ask for comment. Does someone like to comment on that, please?
Simon here. I'll comment on that. The down tender is 11% above the engineer's estimate. That's deemed to be acceptable. It was advertised, and we've got three prices, all relatively close to each other as well. So it's the price is acceptable.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, my question was more relating to why the engineer's estimate was so far out.
I don't consider 11% to be so far out.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Deeming.
Thank you. This is probably a little bit left field, but just looking at the cleaning of public toilets contract, I noticed that it says this requires the contractor to clean and service public toilets within the district, plus empty litter bins in outlying parts of the district. And I'm wondering what actually composes outlying parts of the district, being aware of a very large sports park, which has a grottiest public toilet probably in the country, and the litter bins are rarely ever emptied. And we, the people concerned, have been complaining to Northland Waste, thinking it was their issue, but I'm wondering whether perhaps it wasn't Northland Waste's issue at all. Could somebody just give me a clue on that, please?
Simon, could you answer that, please?
I'm just wondering if Sue has got a response to that one.
Through the chair, I'd have to just check on what schedule's in there and forward that to the councillor. Yes, we do try and be as efficient as possible. So some of those outlying toilets, it makes more sense for that toilet contractor to empty a litter bin. And I'm pretty sure that's what happens at some of our beach places, but I'll check on and forward through a list of what litter bins are included in the public toilet contract.
Thank you, that would be really appreciated. And council's contractor does clean the toilets at this particular very large recreation area. So if they were cleaning the litter bins as well, that would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Murphy. And
Yeah, no, I just had a comment on that, and that was for efficiency, for example, in Whangarei over summer, because we have so many tourists out here. Our waste bins were overflowing, and because Northland Waste only come out, they were emptying the bins on Mondays when they came out to do their rubbish and recycling pickup, but we actually needed additional bin empties. So Grant Allsop organised for PPCS to empty the litter bins because they were out here anyway cleaning toilets. So it works out really well. So perhaps that's a similar situation could be set up down your way, Councillor Demon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Councillor Martin, did you? I saw your.
Yeah. The problem with as soon as you start offering a service, like the Marina Trust did, made bins available so people could go there, and it cost tens of thousands to cart the rubbish away because they were considered a commercial operator. So they had to put the rubbish bins in a locked enclosure because everybody was just taking their household rubbish and everything down there. So as soon as we start cleaning out things willy-nilly, it just becomes a point to take all their rubbish to. So we need to be really careful, and there needs to be some controls in place. But those guys pick up the rubbish at Bland Bay, Oakra, and where there's public toilets, they go clean the public toilets and pick up the rubbish. And the lack of complaints shows that they are doing the job.
Yes. Okay, any other speakers? I can't see any hands. Councillor Cutforth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm partly doing this to test my connectivity too, to check that you can all hear me clearly. I just had two questions, I think probably for Simon. Firstly, on the first contract, the shared path Kensington Ave, I was quite surprised to see an addition of $100,000 on effectively a $300,000 contract, and the comments are that some of the things were due to unforeseeable circumstances. But when I look at the list of things in terms of modification of the boardwalk to protect the trees, etc., I'm surprised that some of those things were not already planned for. And I just wondered if Simon could comment on really quite a significant lift in the cost and why they weren't already, I guess, seen. So that's my first question.
Yeah. Okay,
Simon's Jeff here. I can answer that if you like.
Thank you.
So that particular contract was part of our CIP funded program by MB. It came with some very short timeframes, so we had to get on and start the project as soon as possible. When we did the we were started work almost immediately and applied for the consents as we went. The alterations to the Broadwalk through the karri trees was a condition of our consent that came on, and we had to adjust the program to pick that up. The pedestrian crossing in the entrance to the Kensington car park was a safety matter that came out of our safety audit of the design, and so that's something that we were required to build as well. The benefit of the program is that it's CIP money, and the price we got for the original job was less than the available CIP budget. And we've also, I just see in Rachel's comments, Rachel's our project manager, when we went through, we took the opportunity to do some concrete repairs on the existing curb and channel and drainage works while we were there. So although that was not funded from CIP, it was funded from our other budgets, some of these works were required by our consents and some were opportunity costs we picked up. We've still completed the project less than the CIP budget allowance, and that additional surplus money will be transferred to the other CIP projects.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Jeff. My next question really is around the public toilet contract. Two things. One, I'm really concerned actually at the really short length of time in terms of the procurement process, where the RFP was issued on the 5th of July, but the commencement date of the new service, which was a 5-year contract, was the 1st of September. So to me, it gives very little time for people to, well, one, know about the possible contract, two, prepare a really good tender document, and we've had some conversation about that around our procurement process, and then be ready and able to start the contract on the 1st of September, which I acknowledge is now 6 weeks ago. So I am really concerned about the really short length of time given to potential contractors to respond to an RFP and to be able to have sort of boots on the ground sort of within, you know, about a month. Yeah, a month from when they get notification that they've been accepted. And my other question related to this contract is really, again, around our procurement policy and the moves that we're making towards more social procurement. And people who clean toilets are amongst some of the most indispensable people we have in our contractors, and they're often the most poorly paid. And I wondered with this tender whether there is any acknowledgement of social procurement principles within the contract, including people being paid the living wage, which some of our contractors are definitely moving towards. But I wondered if that was part of an aspect of the tender. Thank you.
Through the chair, firstly, the workers, just speaking about them, they're termed vulnerable workers, and they will transfer to any new contractor. So any new supplier coming in will take all the workers that we currently have on the public toilets contract. So that makes changing suppliers easier because the workforce is already there. The standard 3 weeks for an RFP is in our procurement policy and procedures. In terms of whether contractors are paying living wages or anything like that, Council have not resolved that our contractors need to pay a living wage. Some councils have, but I understand this council has not made that sort of decision. So therefore the market will set the price. And as you rightly say, in this sort of work, they are not highly paid labourers. They're generally on the minimum wage.
Okay, good explanation. Thank you for that.
If I may,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, if I could just ask a further question. I completely understand and agree with the 3-week time frame for an RFP. What my concern is with this contract was that the RFP wasn't issued till the 5th of July, and the service had to commence on the 1st of September. And for a major 5-year contract, even if staff are, as you say, Sue, able to transfer, it's still a very short time frame for, particularly for new contractors who may wish to enter the market. And I just think it's something that we may want to be a bit more front foot about in terms of bigger contracts that we're going to let for a longer length of time, that we actually give potential tenderers a bit more time to be prepared for that. I'll take the rest offline. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Peters.
I would just a comment that I would like to see us moving towards paying living wages or only contracting with contracts who are prepared to pay living wages.
Yeah. Okay, but it's got little to do with the actual agenda item we're discussing at the moment, because these have already been let. So,
Could I just make a comment through the chair? Recreational services proposal was to pay the living wage. So you'll see the difference there in the cost. And that's just what we'd have to do, is increase budgets, nearly double them.
Yeah. Okay, any further comment? Right a reply? Does anyone want to write a reply?
Mr. Chairman, I think it's pretty much summed it up very well. I don't think there's any point of right reply.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I put the motion. All raise your hand, please. All in favour? Okay, unanimous again. Thanks very much. Okay, we move on to page 29 of our agenda, 5.2, infrastructure operational report. Someone like to move the recommendation? We'll go through page by page. Okay, Councillor Peters, Councillor Martin. Okay, Councillor Peters.
Thank you. I really, again, want to emphasise the depth and the breadth of what our infrastructure team is working on. It's quite spectacular.
It is, yes. Okay, so we go to page 33. Any comments? If you just, okay, Councillor Innes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Probably a question directed at Shelley Walton. I noticed on page 33, the only one that isn't green is Tamataro car park. And I was just, well, it's the lay-by area, which is the first stage. I was just wondering how progress was on that, please.
Through the chair, we are just preparing a tender document to go out for construction of the lay-by area. We're also still just working with the hapu on what we do with the other car park area, the main car park near the beach and the hall. So that there is a little bit of risk attached still, because we don't quite yet have an agreement with the hapu in terms of the extent of works that we do to the car park, which is why it's yellow.
Good, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Bendy and then Cuthworth. Councillor Bendy.
Yeah, just a couple of quick comments. One is the ball clock, and I understand that times are different, but I'm just wondering how close is that, because that's the question I get asked all the time, when that's going to appear.
Through the chair, the time frames keep changing all the time. Unfortunately, I don't have an update specifically on what their newest time frame is. I understand that they are testing it, so they have to run it for a certain period of time to make sure that it is actually functioning correctly. But we would have to get some further updates for you if you wanted to know a more specific time for when it would be installed.
No, you got other important things to do. So it's just a question we get asked quite a bit, and I sort of said, oh, it's July, then it's September, and it carries on. But that's the world we live in. The other one is the Lovers Lane Bridge replacement. I just want to. So we've got later on we've got an item about the Rollmanga shared path. Now I just from what I understand, looking at the shared path route, that the most traffic is going to be directed through First Ave, although there's going to be entrance at Second Ave as well. So I'm just wondering if the bridge at First Ave is going to need to be replaced because of that Raumanga shared path, and it's just a lead on from this.
Through the chair, the main route for the Raumanga shared path is through Lovers Lane and through to across the Lovers Lane Bridge through to Second Ave. There is expected to be a desire line on First Ave as well, but that's not the primary route. That bridge on First Ave is in better condition than the one on Second Ave, but it does need the handrails replacing to better accommodate cycles.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Cuthworth, did you want to comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Just a question, I think probably for Shelley, around the town basin bus facilities upgrade. Shelley, you said the scope and materials have been reduced to meet the budget. Could you just explain a little bit more about that and that project?
Through the chair, we are working through the design on that particular piece of work there. We're getting sort of more advanced in terms of design. The part that we are looking at is particularly around, there's been a lot of changes around the eyesight and Claphams because of other decisions that have been going on around the future of the eyesight. So we, at this point in time, are not planning on doing any work to Claphams, which was originally envisaged in this project. And of course, as time has gone on, we have found that the cost of materials and labour and everything else has been going up. So so we've had to amend the scope to deal with some of those other decisions that have been going on in the background.
Thank you. I just wonder whether it would be worth at some point giving councillors a bit more of a detailed update about what is happening around the bus facilities there, because it has been a little while. Maybe just at some point we could have a bit more detail. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Murphy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just briefly, one comment and one question. The new stairs, the new ramp at Matapoti Beach has been built, and it's fantastic. The contractor's done a really good job. They are so solid and look great, so thank you. My question was just around the toilets for Matapoti. There's been the change there from the toilets that were planned for the end of Morrison Road, and now they're going to be built by the hall. I'm just wondering, is the plan to continue with a composting toilet or a septic tank? Thank you.
Through the chair, we are continuing with a composting facility at the on the Hall Society land. We are getting to the point of being close to being able to apply for consent. We're just working through whether we need a building consent or not, or an exemption, and then we will be able to procure the construction works. Once we have completed that facility and people can see how it operates, the intention is then to continue on with looking into another location for another toilet, potentially in that Wehe Morrison Road area.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, we're moving on. Page 34. Councillor Crockerillo.
Page 35, Mr. Chairman. My question was in relation to the old municipal building. I'm noticing the dates are saying October 21. I'm still not seeing anyone working around the site, anyone doing anything, and I'm getting a lot of questions from the public in relation to the scaffolding staying up. What is the ETA on that?
Through the chair, apologies, that date of October 21 is an error. That would refer to the actual procurement stage end date instead of the construction date. So I'll just make sure that we update that for next time. But we are working through the procurement phase at the moment to get contractors on board to start the works. Until we see what their program is, it will be a little bit difficult to say, but it could certainly be 6 months worth of work still.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, does that also mean that the scaffolding or advertising on the scaffolding stays up as that length of time as well?
Through the chair, yes, it would stay up for the duration of particularly the exterior works to protect the building. So until we can get the whole of the exterior watertight and finished, that scaffolding would stay up.
And through Mr. Chairman, does that mean that, just for clarity point of view, is our insurance covering the scaffolding, or is that actually coming out of the project costs?
Through the chair, I don't have that level of detail. I'm sorry. We would have to find that out.
Okay. I want to bring up one of the matters on here is the North Event Centre roof replacement. Could someone from staff please engage with the trust? You've got a new trust being set up, and that's going to have a major impact on event organisation. So could someone please engage with the Event Centre Trust? Thank you. Okay. Any other comments? 35, 36, page 37.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, page 37 under roading.
Yep.
If I can go ahead, is that all right? Thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
I might have missed it, but we're waiting for the resealing projects to come through. Have I missed that, or are we yet to hear which projects they are? Could someone answer that, please? The new seal project, sorry.
Yeah, Jeff here, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you haven't missed it. That we're still working on that, and that'll come through hopefully the next INS council meeting.
So there's a quick follow-up question then,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, if that's all right. We've talked about this for a long time. There's a committee set up to deal with it. And we've talked about the lead times that contractors would appreciate, so they give good prices and put their programs in place. I'm at a loss as to why this is taking so long.
Yeah.
Can you answer that, Jeff, please?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, look, it's just pressure of work. Unfortunately, we've had some difficulties with the funding program from NZTA over the last few months that our staff have been involved in, and so this has just been put on the back burner in the meantime. But it is something that we're working on now to get that recommendations through to the council.
Thank you.
Okay. Just to be clear, Mr. Chairman, this is unfunded work. This is totally funded by the council, isn't it? These seal extensions. So, but anyway, thank you.
Yes, we did put additional money in the budget to do this work, so we'll have to wait for the staff report. Okay, Councillor Murphy.
Thank you. Just on road sealing, while Jeff's there. Hi, Jeff. Hey, just wondering if you could give me a little update on the Waitoi Road. So we got that on the sealing list. Just wondering what the next step in the process is there. Thanks.
Yeah, staff are working on those, getting those projects ready for construction this summer. So that's the Waitoi Road seal extension and the Irvine Road seal extension.
Oh, that's great. So when you say this summer, so probably you're thinking, yeah, so it should be sealed before next winter. Is this what you're saying?
That is the intention.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Can't see any more hands up, so we're going to move on to page 30, 38, 39.
Just on that road sealing thing, there's when we do it, we do a 3-year group of stuff. So just because they haven't been able to get on it because they've been putting all the projects together, applying for the funding, then getting it cut, then getting it put back in, they just haven't been able to catch up. But they are 3-year programs, and the work for this year is still going. So it's not going to hold up the work going forward, and the locals are contributing to them. So,
okay, thank you. Okay, page 40, 41, 42, 43. Councillor Cuthworth, you've made a
Sorry,
comment.
you were going so fast. I missed you. Back to page 38, just on the climate adaptation strategy. I see there's a plan for a pilot climate adaptation plan. I wondered if possibly Anna can tell us about it, but if somebody could just enlighten me about that. Thank you.
Have we got anyone to answer that, please? Councillor Murphy,
just wondering if Sarah is available on the list. No.
Okay, somebody will have to come back to you on Councillor Cuthworth.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll come back.
Okay, Page, can we now go up to 41, where we were before?
Mr. Chair, just while you were back on page 38 and the mention of Sarah, my understanding is that she is the new manager infrastructure planning. Have I got that correct?
That is correct. Sarah is one of our new department managers of that new team. Yes.
Great news. Thank you.
Okay, 39, 40, 41. Okay, go a bit slower now because got to bring everyone with you. Okay, 42. Page 43.
Mr. Chairman, page 43.
Okay, Councillor Cockerill.
Look, I just wanted to thank the staff for putting the green comments in there, and the Whangarei Club, the one I've been dealing with. I've been getting a lot of feedback on that, but it's still the problem still hasn't been resolved, and I'm hoping that the roading staff will actually communicate with the club about those issues. The other items that are listed there in green, look, it's really good to see the staff are motoring through a lot of those different problems that we've been having around the district, and it's really good to see them tidy them up.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Connor.
Yeah, sorry, same line as what Councillor Cockerill was just saying about the it's great to see that there's a fair few that have actually been ticked off. One question I have is that a lot of them actually say report is expected from them at the beginning of September. It's October now. I'm just curious as to when this was produced, or if that has yet just to be updated, or what. If that could be answered, that'd be fantastic. And I've got a second question.
Through the chair, the date, beginning of September, is the date that was agreed to with our consultants that are providing those investigations for us. So we're having quite a frustrating time having to chase them. Workloads just seem ridiculous at the moment. So we can update that with, I mean, we'll continue to chase them and push for those answers because, yeah, we do need those investigations completed by them. So
cool.
Update those.
And that kind of answers the second part anyway, but it's also with regards to a lot of these type of issues. The other thing that I keep telling the public when I am questioned is that there's so much that needs to be dealt with. I mean, and a lot of these also say due to staffing workloads and resourcing, so there's only so many of them to be around to be able to do it. But it's just one. Oh, that's not a question. It's a point that there's still people questioning that out there. But it's yeah, amazing how much actually was damaged in the last floods, and obviously the ongoing effects. But thank you very much to everybody who's been dealing with them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, move on to page 44, 45, 46.
46, one from me. Just a comment and pat on the back for Simon Charles for the Oakura Beach one, Oakura. So I know he faced a fair bit of angst for the block drain there, and the residents are really happy about the unblocking of that, and well done. Good PR and good work.
Thank you. Good comment. Page 47.
It's on the same one as Gavin. The two drains blocked there, one at the hall and the other one down the other end, and both of them got done. And the people out there sent in photos and stuff, so you did right, Gavin. Excellent work.
Thank you. Now, Councillor Cockerello.
Yep. Through Mr. Chair, page 46. Apart from the stormwater side of things, I just wanted to highlight something about the lab, on the lab area, and I'm just wondering. I've recently found out that we're getting COVID tests done on our surge and system and things like that, but they're being sent to Wellington. Is there any investigation going on to whether we can actually purchase the equipment here and base it here in Whangarei, so it's actually able to be done and used here locally? And also in relation to the tests for the drugs and different things like that, is there any chance that we can have these tests done here in Whangarei?
Simon, you
through the chair, Councillor Cockerello, I'm not aware that I don't know exactly what the testing requirements are, but I do know that all the major centres, everybody's sending the sort of samples down to Wellington to ESR. So scientific research. So even though the likes of Auckland have got water care laboratories, which I'd imagine has quite impressive equipment, it is still all being sent down to Wellington. So, but it is definitely a question that I can take up with the team and just find out exactly what equipment they use for the COVID testing.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman, it's actually vitally important for our region to actually be separate on this respect. The fact of sending tests down to Wellington, the delay time in the response. Northland hasn't had a case of COVID, and I'll bring it up right now. Northland hasn't had a case for COVID of over 300 days. We've had Aucklanders coming into the region who have been persecuting our region, and if we don't have something substantial here, we can actually respond back to the central government and say, look, we've got the tests, our test waters are coming up okay. You can actually exclude us from that list. There's a big issue here, Mr. Chairman, and I think we need to actually push it.
Okay, well, I think it's a bit wider than the infrastructure committee, so we'll just deal with the reports. I think we've got a satisfactory answer, so we'll just move on, eh? So page 47.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Whose hands is up? Councillor Innes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a comment in terms of Nook Road, the maintenance there. With the sealing now of a large part of Nook Road, a lot of people using the reserve at the end. So very much appreciated the maintenance and metalling of that by those residents on the gravel component of the road. And just to acknowledge the use of the reserve at the end of that road. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Connor.
Yes, thank you very much. Just on page 47, regarding the crash barrier that's been installed on the Church Road on O'Reilly, aside from the fact we probably need a few of those in a few other locations around town, is that a temporary measure? Will the power pole be moved? And what is going to be made available so access around that corner is made available, please?
Someone from Road can answer that, please.
Yes, Jeff here again. So we are having difficulty getting our Armco barrier in from Australia. So that's why we haven't been able to undertake that repair and other Armco barrier repairs across the district. The crash barrier around the power pole is semi-permanent repair. It's very expensive to relocate the power pole, and that's one of the problems we face. But the crash barrier is there to protect the power pole and vehicles hitting the power pole. The Armco barrier was taken out by a truck and trailer unit as it went round the roundabout. So until we can instigate permanent repairs, which may even involve a complete redesign, that's the semi-permanent repair at the stage.
Thank you.
So access around it for anybody who's not able to get along off of the footpath around who may be having a wheelchair or a motorized scooter or something like that? What's that being suggested for them?
We can have a look at that and make sure that sufficient room is made available.
Thank you. Good.
Thank you.
Councillor Cockerill.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm really glad that Councillor Connick already raised about the power pole. My question was more relating to the other sites around Whangarei, which actually have power poles within the Curbon Channel, and what procedures are put in place for the staff to actually removing this or changing the situation.
So again, it's not simple to relocate power poles because of the wires that are where they're connected to and what level of power infrastructure is on top of the poles. Poles can cost us between $10,000 and $30,000 per pole to relocate. So we look at each one specifically and fund them only when the project can justify the funding costs.
I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. We have just done a major project on Mill Road, which has just put all of the quite a few of the power poles right up close to the road section now. So we've actually done this, and I'm just going through this process now and asking what was going to be done about these poles and what is going to be done about the situation around Whangarei where we widen the roads and then we just turn around and leave the poles where they are.
Through the chair, Kelvin here. With respect to Mill Road, the road itself was a rehab, which meant it maintained the existing lines. The Curbon Channel was changed. The existing power poles that are in place have existing use rights. One of the issues with moving them closer to the boundary is that a new relocated power pole is not allowed to aerial trespass private property. Which means the cross arms that extend out approximately 2 meters in each direction, 2.4 for high voltage, need that clearance before they go into the private land itself. So you're allowed to have an aerial trespass for an existing property, for an existing pole rights, but if the pole was installed after 1991, you're not allowed to create an existing a new aerial trespass. So there are restrictions in the size of the corridor that prevent you from relocating poles on occasion.
Yes, so and just Jeff here again, just another thing. So poles on a straight section of road don't pose the same level of risk, but poles on corners are ones we try and prioritise. But just to inform the council, we spent over $1 million relocating the poles on the Mill Nixon job, on the widening job we did down there, because we basically had to, because the poles would end up otherwise in the middle of the road. But it cost, out of about a $7 million project, we spent about $1 million in relocating the power lines. So again, it's not a cheap exercise, and we prioritise it to where the safety issues are the most prevalent.
Thanks, Jeff and Kelvin, for your answer. I appreciate it. And it's amazing how these power poles on straight sections of road seem to jump out in front of cars. So I'm just quite conscious that we just need to keep a close eye on this.
Sorry, through the chair, we do have a very close relationship of information sharing with North Power. We get provided with their crash data of all KV poles on a monthly basis. It averages around 2 to 3 a month. And what we're doing is Nick Marshall's team are overlaying that data in as a contributor to when we're doing safety assessments on pieces of roads. So areas like Murdoch Crescent, that data is being used to highlight an additional traffic safety hazard, and we're working with North Power on how we can do them. But up until about 18 months ago, that data wasn't available to us, so it's a new data sharing initiative to make sure that we've got the information, we're able to highlight those hotspots.
Yes, from what I hear from that discussion, it just shows you that some of the growth problems we're encountering and the cost of growth and widening roads, widening a lot of things is going to be very costly, but that is a very good explanation. I think this should be out in the public a bit more. because we need the public support on a lot of this as well. Okay, so moving on to page 49. 50.
Just on 49,
Yes.
Being on the Road Safe Trust, that is very significant. We get huge benefit out of that trust for very little spent. And I think that it's about time now that Ashley Johnson has taken over there, that we have another visit of them, just to let you know all of the things that they're doing in our area. So
thank you. Another good comment, Councillor Martin. So, okay, page 50.
And I just want to add that to that what Councillor Martin has said. I think it's absolutely vitally important, Mr. Chairman, that we also take heed to the work that this group is doing, and whether we can feed any other organisations through to them which might have a whole pile of people who need to go for driver's licensing. Myself and the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Cutforth went up to Kaikoui the other week, and we saw how they are actually trying to get groups of organisations through these driver training programs as well. So I think it's something that we should be looking out for other organisations which are large like Silverfern Farms, to get them involved.
Thank you. Calvin Thomas, please.
Yeah, through the chair, just with respect to Councillor Coccarello's comment, one of the key drivers of the new NTA Road Safety Project Manager, which is Nicole Corrick, is to coordinate a lot of these programs across the region. So we have obviously the contract in Whangarei and Kaipara, and then Far North Reap up in the far north. But what we're finding at the moment is MSD have programs going for promoting driver's license. Police are promoting driver's license. NZTA are promoting it. And one of Nicole's roles through the Northern Road Safety Action Group and chairing that is to bring some of these together to make sure we get best bang for buck in terms of the approach and best reach on those driver's license programs.
Good, thanks very much for that. That's really positive. Okay, Councillor Murphy.
Thank you. Whoops, I'm just going on to solid waste here. Hope that's okay. I think it does. It's following on. So just looking at the tonnes there, I'm just checking. From memory, I thought that the resort transfer station tonnage was included in our data, but perhaps it's not. It's just rural transfer station tonnage. So I'm just wondering, the data that comes from the resort transfer station, where is that reported to us?
Through the chair, I'd have to go and find that out for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, because I mean, yeah, that's probably the bulk of, the waste and the recycling and also the green waste that comes through. I think actually in previous reports we have had a bit more data, so maybe it's just this report isn't as comprehensive, because I know in other reports it's actually showing us things like glass tonnage and green waste tonnage. Hey, I do have another question actually, which goes on to one of the following items. So is it okay, Chair, if I carry on?
Well, I think we'll stick with the pages, so anyone else is watching or anything can keep pace with us. So we'll go to page 52, 53, 54. I'm scanning the screen, can't see any movement, hand movements. Okay, Councillor Murphy.
54. Hey, thank you. I was talking to Councillor Martin yesterday because I've had a couple of questions from the Tutukaka community about the jetty. So there's the big concrete boat ramp, and then next to it there's the narrow walking jetty that goes out along the side of the boat ramp. It's getting really old and run down, and people over at Tutukaka were saying, whose job is it to replace it? I caught up with Councillor Martin yesterday because he's on the Marina Trust. And he was saying that council did have an offer of one of those floating concrete pontoons, which was going to come up from another marina. But our council turned the offer down. So I'm just wondering, is there a staff person there who can give me some information on why we didn't take that offer up, and just give me some clarity around the renewal of that structure. Thanks.
Yes, through the chair. I understand those assets were the Marina Trust assets, and we said to them that they're most welcome to put that in if they wished, but they wanted us to do that. But all of those assets are the Marina Trust assets.
Don't like to be difficult.
Yeah.
But those assets belong to the council and they are not part of the Marina Trust. The Marina Trust maintain them as part of their charitable group out at Tutukaka. And the boat ramp and those things on the side that's council's responsibility. But they did offer to bang new poles in and to have the one from Auckland, but council said there was insufficient funding to pay for the transportation of it to come up. So I think we might need to have a bit of a yarn with Dylan and get our heads together about a way forward on it.
Through the chair, yes, we did talk with Dylan, but we can go offline and work out what you would like to do.
That's the best approach, I would say. Okay, so we're going to move on to page 55, 56, 50. Your Worship, the Mayor.
Mr. Chair, just at the bottom of page 55 shows our cremations and burials year to date, and it's actually really noticeable the reduction in both cremations and burials, kind of starting back in July or August of last year, and I'm pretty sure that probably correlates to when we went into lockdowns and our hygiene practices improved, and in a way health improved, and fewer burials and cremations. Have I made too much of a link to that? Sue, you might have some insight into that.
No, I think you're right. Back in definitely in our first lockdown, we had a huge drop in burials, but then that's partly people also put off burials, and people were in storage waiting before they could have a service. And the same thing again in terms of burials, it's made it very tricky for families. So there are probably some other things are also happening, but you're right, nationally they've said the improved hygiene, washing hands lots, has reduced the number of deaths, and during lockdowns we had reduced accidents as well.
Thank you for that comment. Councillor Connor.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say as well, just in regards to the cemetery, that what they're doing up there is absolutely fantastic. We went up there to bury some cremations the last month or so. And was able to have a look around and even in the natural burial area. And it's quite cool to see the little compass points within the area to kind of guide and locate rather than be so many kind of stone headstones, which is quite fantastic. Even in the agenda here on page 56, the Wisteria Chapel that's coming along, and I mean just the work they've done is just absolutely fantastic. Just on a secondary point, I'd just like to ask, with the fact that we've got the lockdowns happening again, do we have signs up around playgrounds again? I had a question from somebody in a few locations. They haven't seen them, but they may be up or may have been tampered with whilst they've been up.
Through the chair, all the playgrounds were taped off on Saturday, like over a week ago. But yes, the tape does get ripped off, and up to a certain point we'll keep retaping them. But at some point, I mean, you kind of thought we might have not had to do it Friday, but now that we know we're locked down till Monday, we might reassess that.
Okay, Councillor Cuthbert and then Cooper.
Just really quickly, just in terms of on page 55, the Whangarei Sports Park, the work that's been done there, I just wanted to thank the team for doing that. That'll be really appreciated. That's something that we've been wanting to see happen for a while. So, and the fact that it's going to be more closely maintained is really great. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Councillor Cooper.
Thank you very much. Just very quickly, the cemetery works great, and as someone who loves wisteria, I wondered if, because we're not allowed to wander up and have a look, if Sue would be able to include a photo of it in full bloom for next month. That was all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure will.
Okay, moving on. So 56, 57. 58. That brings us to the end of the agenda. I can't see any hands up. So just on behalf of Councillor Martin, I know he's really passionate about this committee. So thanks for your conduct. Thanks very much for the staff who joined in. And I know Councillor Martin would like me to thank all our contractors and staff who keep the place running, because it's really pleasing in a lockdown and everything keeps functioning. So thanks very much to all our staff who are doing such a great job in that area. So thank you. Okay, with that, I'll close the meeting, and our next one, Carolyn, is time to go at what time? 11.
Councillor, did we move that report motion?
Oh, sorry, I didn't put that. Well done.
You did, but you didn't put the.
Okay, all in favour of that last motion, please raise their hand. Okay, carried. Against? Right, it's carried. Okay, so I'll bring the meeting to the close, and Carolyn, our next hookup is at 11 o'clock, is it right?
10:30, I think the briefing is.
Well, okay, so we've got a 10-minute break. Do we have to stay on this one, or are we going to go to a new invite?
You'll have to jump into the new meeting invite for that one.
Okay, so
participants.
Okay, thanks very much for your input, everyone. We'll close the meeting, and we'll see you back at 10:30. Bye.
Thank you, Phil.
No problem. Thank you.